My teenage daughter's bully destroyed her precious belongings and made her cry for months. Then my sister had the audacity to invite him to our family vacation because he was misunderstood. I had to involve cops. Then I, 42M, have a daughter, Lily, 15F, who I've raised mostly on my own since my divorce 8 years ago. Lily and I have always been close, especially after her mother moved to another state for work and only sees Lily during summer breaks and some holidays. Lily is what many would call a nerd. She loves anime. She's also really into video games like Legend of Zelda and Stardew Valley, and she can quote almost every line from the original Star Wars trilogy. I've always encouraged her interests because they make her happy, even though they've sometimes made her a target at school. For the past 2 years, a boy named Jerome, 16M, has been bullying Lily relentlessly. At first, it started with small comments about her interests, calling her weirdo and anime freak. But over time, it escalated to nastier insults about her appearance and intelligence. Lily would try to brush it off, but I could tell it was affecting her deeply. There were days she'd come home with red eyes, though she'd claim allergies or being tired. The school has been almost useless in handling the situation. I've had 3 meetings with the principal, and despite promises that they would address the issue, nothing substantial ever happened. Jerome would be spoken to, he'd back off for a week, and then start again. Last month, things hit a breaking point. Lily came home with her backpack completely soaked. Apparently, Jerome had thrown it into a toilet. Everything inside was ruined, including a sketchbook that contained months of her artwork and a Star Wars keychain I had given her for her birthday. Lily didn't cry in front of me, but I heard her in her room later that night. I immediately contacted the school, and they suspended Jerome for 3 days. His parents were called in for a meeting, which I attended as well. His father spent most of the time on his phone, barely acknowledging the discussion. His mother had the audacity to suggest that Lily might be provoking Jerome by wearing provocative clothing. Lily wears jeans and t-shirts with anime characters or Star Wars logos. There's nothing provocative about her clothing. After the meeting, I spoke with my sister Karen, 38F, about the situation. Karen has always been close to Lily, often taking her shopping or to movies when I have to work late. Karen listened sympathetically and assured me she'd talk to Lily, maybe take her out for ice cream to cheer her up. Our family has a tradition of going on a vacation together every winter. My parents, my sister, and her husband Tom, 40M, their son Ryan, 17M, and Lily and I spend a week at a cabin in the mountains. It's something we all look forward to, especially Lily. The cabin belongs to my parents, but we all contribute to expenses for food, activities, and maintenance. Yesterday, Karen called to tell me about the vacation plans for this year. As she was going through the details, she casually mentioned that Jerome would be joining us. My blood ran cold. I asked her to repeat herself, thinking I must have misheard. But no, she confirmed that Jerome would be coming along. Apparently, Jerome is Ryan's friend, and Ryan had asked if Jerome could join because he's having a tough time at home and could use a break. I immediately told Karen that Lily and I would not be attending if Jerome was there. Karen seemed surprised by my reaction. She tried to downplay the situation, saying that maybe this would be a good opportunity for Lily and Jerome to work out their differences. She even suggested that Jerome's behavior might improve if he was in a different environment. I reminded Karen about everything Jerome had done to Lily, including the backpack incident. I pointed out that this vacation was supposed to be a safe and enjoyable time for all of us, especially Lily, who looks forward to it all year. Karen then revealed that Jerome had been spending a lot of time at her house with Ryan and that she had gotten to know him. According to her, Jerome was just a misunderstood kid who had a difficult home life. She believed he acted out because he didn't have proper guidance. I told her that while I could sympathize with Jerome's situation, it didn't excuse his behavior, and I wasn't willing to put Lily in a position where she had to spend a week with her tormentor. I also questioned why she hadn't mentioned Jerome's friendship with Ryan before, especially given what was happening with Lily. Karen got defensive. She claimed she hadn't realized how serious the bullying was and thought I was exaggerating. She also said that Ryan had only recently become friends with Jerome, and she hadn't made the connection until after they had already invited Jerome to the vacation. This didn't add up to me. Karen knew exactly what was happening with Lily. She had comforted Lily after the backpack incident, and Ryan and Jerome went to the same school as Lily, so it seemed unlikely that Karen wouldn't have known they were friends. I ended the call by firmly stating that Lily and I would not be attending the vacation if Jerome was there. I told Karen she needed to make a choice, either uninvite Jerome or accept that Lily and I wouldn't be coming. Later that evening, I received multiple texts from family members. My parents said they understood my concerns but hoped we could find a solution that would allow everyone to come. Ryan texted saying that Jerome wasn't as bad as Lily made him out to be, and that she was being too sensitive. Tom, surprisingly, texted to say he agreed with me and was trying to talk to Karen. This morning, Karen called again. She was crying, saying I was tearing the family apart and that I was being unreasonable. She insisted that Jerome had promised to behave and that Ryan would keep an eye on him. She also mentioned that they had already paid for some activities that included Jerome, and it would be a waste of money to cancel. I stood my ground and repeated that Lily and I would not be attending if Jerome was there. Karen hung up on me. I haven't told Lily about this situation yet. She's been excited about the vacation for months, already planning which board games to bring and which hiking trails she wants to explore. I'm dreading having to tell her we might not go, especially since it's not her fault. The vacation is scheduled for next month, so there's still time to resolve this, but I'm at a loss. I can't understand why my sister would prioritize a boy who has tormented my daughter over her own niece's well-being. And I'm struggling with the decision of whether to stand firm on not going, which would disappoint Lily, or to go and risk putting Lily in an uncomfortable or even harmful situation. To add another layer to this mess, my nephew Ryan texted me privately this afternoon. He revealed something that made my stomach turn. Apparently, Jerome has been telling people at school that he has a crush on Lily, and that's why he picks on her. Ryan said he thought I should know because Jerome had been asking a lot of questions about Lily and seemed weirdly obsessed with her. This information made me even more adamant about not attending if Jerome was going to be there. A boy who bullies my daughter and then claims it's because he likes her is showing dangerous behavior patterns that I don't want anywhere near Lily. I'm now considering organizing a separate vacation for just Lily and me during the same week, so she doesn't miss out on a winter break. But I know it won't be the same as our traditional family trip, and she'll be hurt when she finds out why we're not going. I've scheduled a call with all the adults in the family for tomorrow evening to discuss this further. I hope they'll see reason and understand that this isn't about me being difficult. It's about protecting my daughter. Am I wrong for refusing to attend our family vacation if my daughter's bully is there? Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments and advice. It helped me stay strong during what turned out to be a very challenging family situation. The day after I posted, we had our scheduled family call. My parents, Karen, Tom, and I were all present. I had prepared notes to make sure I could clearly explain my concerns without getting too emotional. The call started with Karen immediately going on the defensive. She claimed I was exaggerating the bullying situation and that Jerome was a good kid who was just going through a rough patch. She kept emphasizing how important this vacation was for Ryan, who wanted his friend to join them. I calmly laid out all the incidents that had occurred over the past 2 years, including the backpack destruction. I also mentioned what Ryan had told me about Jerome's supposed crush on Lily. This seemed to be news to Karen, who paused for a moment before dismissing it as, boys will be boys, and suggesting that maybe Jerome did like Lily and just didn't know how to express it properly. That's when Tom stepped in. He had been quiet until this point, but suddenly he spoke up firmly. He said he had observed Jerome's behavior during his visits to their house and had become increasingly uncomfortable with how the boy talked about girls in general and Lily in particular. Tom mentioned that he had overheard Jerome making crude comments about Lily's body when he thought no adults were listening. Karen seemed shocked by this revelation from her husband. She stammered that Tom had never mentioned this to her before. Tom replied that he had tried to bring it up several times, but she had always brushed off his concerns. My father, who had been listening silently, then spoke up. He works in education and has dealt with bullying situations throughout his career. He explained that Jerome's pattern of behavior, bullying, obsession, claiming his actions were due to a crush, was concerning and potentially indicative of more serious issues. He firmly stated that he would not feel comfortable having Jerome at the family vacation, knowing what we now knew. My mother agreed, saying that while she felt sympathy for Jerome's difficult home situation, our priority had to be the safety and well-being of Lily. She suggested that perhaps Karen and Tom could help Jerome in other ways, such as connecting him with counseling services. Karen broke down crying at this point. Through her tears, she admitted that she had been trying to help Jerome because she saw how lonely he was and how much Ryan enjoyed his friendship. She hadn't wanted to believe the bullying was as bad as I had described, because it meant admitting that she had been allowing someone who hurt Lily into their home. After she calmed down, Tom revealed another piece of information. Ryan had confided in him that he had initially become friends with Jerome because Jerome had threatened to spread rumors about him if he didn't. Ryan had been too embarrassed to tell anyone, especially his mother, because he was ashamed of giving in to the threat. This revelation changed the entire dynamic of the conversation. Karen was visibly shaken. She apologized profusely to me, saying she had completely mishandled the situation. She promised that Jerome would not be coming on the vacation and that she would talk to Ryan about finding better friends. The next day, Karen came to my house to apologize to Lily in person. I had finally told Lily about the situation the night before, after our family call. She had been upset but relieved that she wouldn't have to deal with Jerome during what was supposed to be a fun family time. Karen and Lily had a long talk in Lily's room. I don't know exactly what was said, but when they came out, they were both teary-eyed but seemed to have reached an understanding. Karen hugged Lily tightly before leaving, promising to make this vacation the best one yet. Over the next few days, Ryan also reached out to Lily. He apologized for not standing up for her at school and for bringing Jerome into our family circle. He admitted that he had been afraid of becoming Jerome's target himself. Lily, being the kind person she is, forgave him and told him she understood. As for Jerome, I learned from a friend who works at the school that he has been placed on probation for another bullying incident involving a different student. The school is finally taking action, requiring him to attend counseling sessions and monitoring his behavior more closely. Karen and Tom have spoken with Jerome's parents again, this time more forcefully about the seriousness of his behavior. Apparently, his father finally put down his phone long enough to listen, and his mother stopped making excuses. They've agreed to family counseling, though I'm skeptical about how committed they are. The vacation plans are back on track. Lily is excited again, already making lists of things to pack and activities she wants to do. I'm relieved that my family ultimately chose to support and protect her, though I'm still processing my feelings about how long it took and what it required to get there. I've also scheduled a meeting with a lawyer friend to discuss obtaining a restraining order against Jerome. Given his obsessive behavior and the escalating nature of his bullying, I want to make sure all legal protections are in place in case things get worse. I've learned a lot about standing firm for my child, even when it means creating conflict within the family. It's not easy, but seeing Lily smile again when talking about our upcoming vacation makes it all worthwhile. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update, and we're now back from our family vacation. I wanted to share what happened before, during, and after our trip. In the weeks leading up to the vacation, things were relatively quiet. Lily seemed more relaxed knowing that Jerome wouldn't be there. She and Ryan had started talking more, rebuilding their cousin relationship that had become strained. Karen made extra efforts to reconnect with Lily, taking her shopping for new winter clothes and gear for the trip. 3 days before we were scheduled to leave, Ryan sent me a text that made my blood freeze. Jerome had somehow found out that he wasn't invited to the vacation anymore and had been sending Ryan increasingly aggressive messages. The worst part was that Jerome had specifically mentioned getting back at Lily for ruining his plans. I immediately called Karen and Tom to discuss this development. They were as concerned as I was. Tom had already taken Ryan's phone and blocked Jerome's number, but we were all worried about what Jerome might do next. We decided not to tell Lily about the threats to avoid causing her unnecessary stress before the vacation. Instead, Tom contacted Jerome's parents and the school to report the threatening messages. The school administration promised to address it immediately, given their new awareness of Jerome's pattern of behavior. The day before our departure, I received a call from the school counselor. She informed me that Jerome had been suspended and was required to undergo a psychological evaluation before being allowed to return. His parents had finally seemed to grasp the seriousness of the situation and had enrolled him in an intensive behavioral program. With that somewhat reassuring news, we headed to the cabin for our vacation. The first day was slightly awkward, with everyone being extra careful around Lily and occasionally falling into uncomfortable silences when certain topics came up. By the second day, though, things began to feel more normal. We went skiing, built snowmen, and played board games in the evening by the fireplace. Lily laughed more than I had heard her laugh in months. Ryan made special efforts to include her in everything, clearly trying to make amends for his role in the Jerome situation. On the third night, after Lily had gone to bed, the adults had a serious conversation about what had happened. Karen finally opened up completely about why she had initially defended Jerome. She revealed that her own son Ryan had been bullied severely in elementary school, and she had always regretted not doing more to help him. When she met Jerome and heard about his troubled home life, she had projected her past guilt onto him, convincing herself that she could save this boy where she had failed to help others before. My parents expressed that while her intentions might have been good, she had gone about it all wrong, putting a stranger's well-being above her own niece's safety. Karen acknowledged this admitting that she had been blind to the reality of the situation because she was so caught up in her redemption narrative. Tom shared that he had been torn between supporting his wife and knowing that something was very wrong with Jerome's behavior. He regretted not speaking up sooner and more forcefully. The rest of the vacation went smoothly. We hiked through snow-covered trails, visited a nearby town for shopping and hot chocolate, and spent evenings playing games and watching movies. Lily and Ryan rebuilt their bond, and Karen and Lily seemed to have truly reconciled. On our last night, Ryan revealed something that shed new light on the entire situation. Jerome had initially become friends with him because he had learned that Ryan was Lily's cousin. All those months, Jerome had been using Ryan to gather information about Lily, asking questions about where she lived, what she liked, and details about our family. Ryan admitted that he had felt uncomfortable with these questions, but had dismissed his concerns because he wanted to believe Jerome was genuinely his friend. This revelation sent a chill through all of us. Jerome's behavior went beyond typical bullying. It showed a level of calculation and obsession that was deeply disturbing. I was even more grateful that we had taken firm action to keep him away from our family. We returned home yesterday, and I immediately contacted my lawyer friend again to discuss the new information. Given Jerome's threats and the evidence of his long-term obsessive behavior, she believes we have a strong case for a restraining order. We're filing the paperwork tomorrow. The school has been surprisingly supportive since the threats came to light. The principal called me this morning to inform me that they're implementing a new anti-bullying program and using this case anonymously as an example of how serious the consequences can be when bullying isn't addressed promptly. Lily seems transformed after the vacation. She's talking more, smiling more, and even mentioned trying out for the school's art club, something she'd been interested in but too afraid to pursue because Jerome had mocked her artwork in the past. I'm cautiously optimistic that the worst is behind us, but I remain vigilant. Jerome's behavior has shown patterns that concern me deeply, and I won't let my guard down when it comes to Lily's safety. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share the conclusion to our situation with Jerome. The restraining order was granted shortly after we returned from vacation. The judge took the case very seriously once he reviewed the evidence, including the threatening texts Jerome had sent to Ryan and the documented history of bullying. The order requires Jerome to stay at least 100 feet away from Lily at all times and prohibits any form of contact, including through social media or third parties. Implementing this at school was challenging since they both attend the same institution. After several meetings with the administration, they developed a plan that adjusted Jerome's schedule to minimize any potential contact with Lily. They also assigned a guidance counselor to check in with Lily regularly to ensure she felt safe. Jerome's parents finally seemed to understand the gravity of the situation after the legal system became involved. His father, who had barely looked up from his phone during our first meeting, actually called me to apologize for his son's behavior and his own negligence in addressing it. He mentioned that Jerome had been diagnosed with several issues during his psychological evaluation and was now receiving appropriate treatment. Lily has blossomed over these past months. Without the constant threat of bullying hanging over her, she's become more confident. She joined the art club and recently won a local competition with a painting inspired by her favorite anime. She's made new friends who share her interests and has even started talking about college plans and potential careers in graphic design or animation. Our family dynamics have also evolved. Karen and I had several long conversations about what happened, and while things aren't perfectly healed between us, we're in a much better place. She's acknowledged how her actions could have put Lily in danger and has been working to rebuild trust with both of us. She's become one of Lily's biggest supporters, attending her art shows and encouraging her interests. Ryan and Lily are closer than ever. He's become protective of her at school, making sure to check in with her between classes and sitting with her at lunch sometimes. He also completely cut ties with Jerome and has found a healthier friend group. Last week, we received unexpected news. Jerome's family is moving to another state. His father got a job transfer, and they decided a fresh start would be best for everyone. While I'm relieved, I made sure the restraining order would be transferable to their new location, just in case. The school has used this situation as a catalyst for change. They've implemented a more robust anti-bullying program and are taking reports much more seriously now. The principal personally apologized to Lily for failing to protect her adequately in the past. We've scheduled another family vacation for this summer, this time to a beach house. Lily is already making plans and creating art inspired by ocean themes in anticipation. The easy joy she now displays is such a stark contrast to the quiet, anxious girl she was becoming when Jerome was in her life. Looking back at this whole ordeal, I realize how crucial it was to stand firm in protecting Lily, even when it created tension with family members I love. There were moments when I questioned whether I was overreacting or being too unyielding, but seeing Lily now confirms I made the right choice. For parents facing similar situations, my advice is simple. Trust your instincts when it comes to your child's safety and well-being. Be prepared to advocate fiercely for them, even when it's uncomfortable or creates conflict. Document everything, and don't hesitate to involve legal authorities if necessary. This will be my final update on this situation. With Jerome moving away and Lily thriving, we're ready to close this chapter and move forward. The support and advice from this community helped guide me through one of the most challenging periods of my parenting journey, and for that, I'm eternally grateful.